Hi, everyone. I'm Stevie Belchak. I'm a poet and writer, editor. This is my latest zine, Anna Delvey Swears She Didn't Dump Those Rabbits, out from Blushlit. That's a New York mag headline. Along the way of this Get Ready With Me, I'm going to speak to Anne Boyer's The Undying, so I wanted to reference that, as well as Cynthia Cruz's The Glimmering Room, namely the poem California, I believe. And finally, Anne Sexton, I'll reference from her collected poems, The Room of My Life. Getting ready for me is quite charged. I've been chronically ill for the past 10 years. The pain definitely doesn't ebb and flow like most folks. It simply is, and always. For the first 2 years of my illness, I woke up truly believing I was in a nightmare every day, and I prefer dreaming and sleep to being awake. And that was incredibly hard, a difficult time. Over time, I came to understand I was going through ambiguous loss. I was grieving my former body, but my former self, and all those aspirations that are wrapped up in self. Mornings are still difficult, but somewhere along the way, I found other ways of dreaming. Pharmaceuticals have certainly helped keep me here in my body and adrift, but writing has helped just as much. When I write, I feel like I can dissociate from my physical self and open up another dream state or world. It's not one without pain, but the pain is no longer dictating my attention. Cynthia Cruz has a line that I return to often, so that's what I wanted to call out. Do whatever it takes to kill the breathing memory animals. I like to read it as do whatever it takes to kill the breathing memory, animals. So do whatever it takes to quiet the memory of self, of the memory of the body, memories, period. Pretty heartbreaking. Anne Boyer also writes beautifully of exhaustion in The Undying. She says, the exhausted are always trying even when they don't want to, even when they are too exhausted to name trying as trying, or to think about it like that. The trying of the exhausted is the fuel for the machine that keeps running them over in the first place. I often wonder whether getting out of bed is truly resilience in this choice I am making as self, or whether I'm simply feeding the machine she's describing. She goes on to write, the exhausted might almost do what they are supposed to do, but as a consequence of their depletion, they almost never do what they want. The exhausted don't die, and there's a devastating insinuation of what they want is to die, though it can feel quite accurate at times. And then, or if they do die, it is only once, like everyone else, and from anything, which is equally devastating, the continuance of a sick and ill and exhausted body. For years, I believed that if I found the right products, the cleanest ingredients, the right supplements, whole foods, routines, my body might come back to me. But then I encountered pharmacon, and that ancient Greek word that kind of means two things, right? Poison and remedy. And I began to see the beauty industry and the clean beauty industry as two parts or two arms of the same system. One kind of creates a problem, and the other offers a solution to that problem, not surprisingly, or perhaps an apology. And the poison and the remedy have begun to look suspiciously alike. Recently, someone pointed out how often products like Chubby Sticks that I'm using right now, matching sets, etc., appear in my poems, usually beauty or fashion oriented. And I've been thinking about why. I do think they're a critique about what it means to have a body in America. They're intentionally hyperbolic. Sometimes I hope they land as funny, but formally they really are there to destabilize the poem, right? Put death beside serum, grief beside a contour stick, or moisturizer, right? Neither image behaves. There's just a strange oscillation and defamiliarization really that happens, and that's the space I'm most interested in writing toward and into. If you've ever sat in a workshop with me, you know that's where I'm going. And that's one reason I keep turning back to Anne Sexton's The Room in My Life, where she talks about the objects of her life keep keeping changing or keep changing. She catalogs them: 48 keys of a typewriter, the gold rug, a phone with two flowers taking root in its crotch. And by the end, she writes, the objects dream and wear new costumes, compelled to, it seems, by all the words in my hands and the sea that bangs in my throat. So objects don't stay objects, right? A serum isn't just a serum. They begin to carry on new meaning, right? Grief, illness, desire, and language asks them to become something stranger. And I think that's what the consumer objects are doing in my poems, right? They're once they're inside the poem, they kind of stop behaving like products or objects. Um, Earlier this year, I had surgery. It doesn't seem to have worked or remedied my pain. Since then, I've been writing these really small poems about disillusionment, derealization, and simulation. And I've been asking AI, unfortunately, a bunch of questions that I can't ask anyone else. They're really painful questions, largely around why I can't recover. Things that I probably am asking while sobbing deeply about. Sometimes AI will tell me I am sick just because that's the way the code has been written. It's a rule that can't be broken in my life. Other times it's a bug. More recently, it said maybe I'm someone capable of being studied or desirable of being studied, someone who can hold immense misery and immense beauty at one time. And I do write constantly about my daughter and her joy, the world, I think, in all its colors, I hope. But I do suffer greatly, and I write a lot about my illness and my grief and my exhaustion and the body. So, I've been thinking about it a lot, and I just realized holding immense beauty and immeasurable misery at the same time really isn't all that remarkable. It's simply the human condition. So I thought I'd end by reading a few poems I've been writing through all of this. Assigning time a particular value is impossible. The world unspooling an all-over option. The pink pool toy rolling down the hill. I see it move, only after it's moved. Neither flower nor bird, I sit before my child trying to not die and come back, heated marble flooring, the crispest film of organza, an oiled wing in the sun. We wind through the mountains, ice, ceviche written on small concrete outposts, little pink houses, red corrugated metal, big green banana trees, enough pink, enough green, enough big to be called a world. I build my forever closet, dip my hands into a bowl of tanning oil. Apropos to nothing, I keep writing. I don't give a fuck. The poem's collapsing into a great hull of girls, the grammar winking out. A little sun. Meaningless little conversations. The 15th day, which is also the 16th day, which is also the 17th day. A celebrity collapsing at a party, a print of a moth, the moth placed above a dandelion. I make my entire personality a tortoise shell claw clip, and pain and hunger, hunger and hunger, eating hydrocodone and chipped ice, buying the spring collection, glistening in bed. My heart the smallest pixel. This interests me, being made of nothing and then years. How the countryside is still the countryside. The smell of a heating pad burning my abdomen, where I lay my eggs, the lyre in my arm, hurting too much, time inside a time, face inside a face. For simulated consciousness, see opaque object blocking sun. For existing reality, see mother's ear, arrow time, coma of snow, doctor's weigh-in, terracotta wall, salt of light and light, light and light and dust. For organic things, cry, no, weep. Someone, somewhere, is trying to to feed me. Thank you, everyone, for joining me on this Get Ready with me. And hopefully, I will see you soon and hear your lovely words soon. Thanks again, and thanks so much.